I lived in Cyprus for over 6 years, but there was one dish I never learned how to bake, and that is a flaoune. So I've invited my friend Tonya Buxton along to show me how to do it. Welcome, Tonya.
Hi, Paul.
Now, you've got a full array of Cypriot delights here, as far as I'm concerned.
I did. I thought you might miss Cyprus a bit, so I home-cooked you some things that you would have eaten regularly when you're out there.
Absolutely.
Tonya makes amazing Cypriot food.
Have a look at that.
It's a passion that we share through our association with the island. And together, we're going to make a traditional Cypriot pie we both love.
Now, you're going to bake one of my favourite Easter delights, and it's the flaoune, which every village in Cyprus apparently makes the best in the world.
Flaounes are filled pastry parcels that can either be salty or sweet, depending on what village they're made in. I can't think of anything similar in British baking.
Would you like to take over from the kitchen?
OK, I will.
If you need me to do anything, just shout and
I'll help. Because you're my baker, you're going to make the dough, and this is Cypriot village flour.
I've worked with this a lot.
Well, obviously. So, to it, I want you to add some very, very Cypriot spices.
OK.
So, this is meklebi, which is the cherry pips.
Right.
OK, so it's the kernels of the cherry pips. They've been ground down.
Yeah, I know the smell.
Yeah,
I've
so
used
that's been... This is the one that comes from, this is mastiki.
That's right, yeah. That's the gum.
That's the gum. It's the tears. It comes from the island of Chios, and they call them tears. So I want a teaspoon of each of those into the flour.
Can you pass me a teaspoon just in that top drawer there, please?
Yes. And the way that I was taught to make it, and it's not just each village that has the best flaounes, each family has the best flaounes. It's very competitive.
Very.
I like to put a little bit of cinnamon into my flour as well.
A little bit of cinnamon as well?
A little bit of cinnamon in there as well.
Okay.
That's perfect.
Yep.
And then I'll let you go with the rest.
A little bit of salt?
A bit of salt.
Okay.
Baking powder, the yoghurt.
Baking powder.
And all of that yoghurt.
All of that yoghurt,
yeah.
okay.
And then there's some milk to bind.
Now, this dough does have a lot of ingredients, but the result is magic.
So I'm going to make the filling.
Okay.
So I've chopped some fresh mint here.
Yep.
Everything just gets put in the bowl. So I'm going to put the mint in. I'm going to add a cup. Oh, this is the main thing to know. In Cypriot cooking, we don't measure anything, as you know.
Yeah.
Everything's done by a glass or a cup. And as long as you use the same glass or cup throughout, it works out just fine.
But it saves on the washing as well.
It does. It really does save on the washing. But not that. But everything's guduru guduru.
Yeah.
Siga, stomadi. And all of these things mean just, you know, kind of try and use your instincts when you're cooking a little bit and do it the way you like it.
Absolutely,
so I've got a cup of cheddar cheese, which is the way we English Cypriots make it now, because we can't always get hold of
BBCs.
I'm BBC, British Born Cypriot.
British Born Cypriot. Isn't that cool, BBC?
I quite like that.
After the cheddar, Tonya adds a classic Cypriot cheese, grated halloumi. Raisins will add some sweetness, then a cup of semolina and flour.
And then it's the spices. And again, don't be cheap with the spices. If you go to the bakeries in Cyprus around Easter time, they do all have their own flaounes, but they never smell like the homemade ones.
No.
Because the spices are expensive, and we could always tell if someone was mean. Because if they made a flaoune and gave it to you, because you swap flaounes around Easter, if you cracked their flaoune and smelt it and it didn't smell of the spices, they were mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tonya's using mastika again, and another popular Cypriot flavour, meklebi, ground cherry kernels.
So I've got the yeast as well that's going in there.
The Maya.
Maya. Maya, it's lovely because it sounds like magic, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it does.
Perfect. So that's all of that done. Now I've got a lot of eggs that are going to go in here, because you've got to bear in mind that these flaounes are eaten after everyone's been fasting for 40 days, a vegan fast. Are you going to do those for me?
No. I'm just standing up, stretching my legs, so I was going to give this dough a bit of a wallop.
OK. Thought it was too much to ask for. All right. So it's about 5 eggs I'm going to put in there. It's a very rich flaoune, very rich pie. So I'm just going to beat these up really well.
So that is the main liquid, is it, that goes into the flaoune? Egg.
Egg, and then a bit of milk to bind it all.
OK. What do you think of my dough?
It's all right.
OK.
So I'm going to pour that into here, and then I'm going to just give it a really, really good mix. But I think the best way to do it is to put my hands in and get really messy, because that's the way it mixes best. So you just mix that really well. You're going to have to get your hands in there and just really bind it well together.
Right, you need some milk in there as well?
A tiny little bit of milk, just to make it a little bit more. That's it. Perfect, thank you. That's it. What I'd really like you to do is to roll out the dough, please.
Roll out the dough fairly thinly, but not so thin it won't hold the filling. Then, cut out circles. Tonya's little bowl is perfect as a guide.
What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take it and I'm going to press them into the dampened sesame seed. And then to that, you're going to add a tablespoon of the flaounes mixture, just like that.
Yeah.
Then you're just going to... You can do triangles, but my family always did squares.
Yeah, it was always squares. Always squares. Yeah.
So then I'm just going to put a little egg wash on top here. You want this lovely little glossy egg wash on the top, and that's why I've put sesame seeds in the egg as well, so that gets onto the filling. And you leave a little hole at the top there so it can swell and open up, otherwise the pastry will crack.
It looks great.
Et voila.
Fantastic. So they're going to go into the oven now, and you've got some...
I have.
...over here. Now these look fantastic. That is what I remember as a flaoune. Now, you can see the sesame seed all the way around. You can see the filling begin to sort of pull that apart slightly. They're just... And they smell so good. They smell of that mastica.
They're not the most beautiful looking pies, and I know you make much prettier things, but this is proper rustic Cypriot baking.
I look forward to sharing these Cypriot flaounes with my guests later. My next recipe is Mediterranean in style, but with the main ingredients that I found a little closer to home.
I spent many happy years living and working in Cyprus, where I grew to love the local produce. So imagine my surprise when I found an ingredient I had always identified with the Mediterranean being produced in sunny Yorkshire.
When it comes to cheese, I've always associated Yorkshire with the likes